Wow, I gotta say, I'm becoming more and more of a fan of these 3 hour Raws because ever since the 1000th episode, Raw has been actually good each week. I mean, the shows haven't been spectacular with the exception of tonight. Man, tonight was a great show. But the shows have been better and better. And, with these extra hours on Raw, with this extra hour, we're getting a lot more wrestling. Tonight there was 8 matches on the whole show, which is actually really good for a Monday Night Raw. Now, don't get me wrong, every match wasn't spectacular. Every match wasn't 20 minutes long. You had your short matches and you had your long matches. But overall, this was a good Raw. And I gotta say this right now. If you weren't ready for SummerSlam before this edition of Raw, you ought to be ready now because this Monday Night Raw really got me hyped for SummerSlam, especially Brock Lesnar and Triple H. But before I get to that, let me run down real quick the matches that we saw tonight. The show opened with Punk and the Big Show going one-on-one. I believe the Big Show got the win. Daniel Bryan came in and interfered, causing the Big Show to get the win, furthering the whole Daniel Bryan being pissed off at the world gimmick, wanting his match for the world title at SummerSlam. AJ comes out. She makes the tag team match. Cena and Punk going up against Daniel Bryan and the Big Show later on in the show. So that started off the show, and that was pretty good. Next, we saw Ryback taking on JTG. JTG was caught backstage talking about how, 3 hours of Raw, but yet he's still not on the show. He said he thought it was crazy. AJ overheard him saying the word crazy. She comes over. She says, "You want to be on Raw? Well, you've got a match next." So what does he do? He takes on Ryback. Ryback squashes the shit out of him. It was awesome. I love Ryback. What more can I say? Next, we saw R-Truth and Heath Slater. Now, this wasn't much of a match, but I liked it because of the storyline progression with R-Truth and the Primetime Players. Kofi Kingston was absent due to the fact that he was still overseas with the Raw World Tour. So after the match, R-Truth, of course, he beat Heath Slater, but afterwards, the Primetime Players came out and they laid Truth out. It was awesome. I'm looking forward to that match at SummerSlam. It should be great. The Tag Team Championships will be defended on pay-per-view, and that's awesome. Next, we saw Sin Cara and Tensai. It was alright. Sin Cara beats Tensai with a roll-up. Kind of a cheap win, but still, not too bad. Now, another great thing about this Raw was the fact we saw Piper's Pit. I loved it. Raw Active was all about this part of the show. They got to pick, or the audience, I should say, got to pick, the Twitter followers, whatever. I don't tweet, so I'm not hip to that. But you could tweet who you wanted to be on Piper's Pit. Either The Miz, Ziggler, or Chris Jericho. Everybody picked Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho came out. And, the Piper's Pit isn't the same, that's for sure. It's not like it was in the 80s and the 90s, but, it was still good. It was great for storyline progression with Dolph Ziggler and Chris Jericho. And I love Chris Jericho now. He's back to being Y2J, the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, and that's what Chris Jericho is all about. That's his bread and butter. And I'm so happy to see that he's a face again. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Ziggler and Punk at SummerSlam. That's going to be probably the best match of the night, maybe. But yeah, it was a great little Piper's Pit. We got to see a little bit of action with everybody in the ring. Both Ziggler and The Miz, they made their way out there as well. Everybody fought each other. In fact, after Piper's Pit, we got a triple threat. Dolph Ziggler, Jericho, and Miz. This was a damn good match. I really enjoyed it. And Ziggler picked up a great win. But since he did win tonight on Raw, that tells me that Jericho just might get the win at SummerSlam over Dolph Ziggler. It doesn't matter, though, because the match at SummerSlam should be fantastic. But next up, we got to see a Divas Tag Team match. Nothing to talk about, really. Layla and Kaitlyn going up against Beth Phoenix and Eve Torres. Of course, Layla and Kaitlyn, they win. So now we get to the tag team match of the night. CM Punk and John Cena taking on the Big Show and Daniel Bryan. This was a very interesting match. CM Punk and John Cena, of course, Punk didn't want to tag with Cena, but he had no choice. And it was funny because John Cena and CM Punk stole each other's moves. If you didn't see the match, you definitely need to check it out. It was very entertaining to say the least. John Cena picks up the win by defeating Daniel Bryan in the match, and it was a pretty good match. And the last match of the night, of course, was Damien Sandow taking on Christian. Now, this wasn't a very long match, but this was a key win for Damien Sandow because he defeated Christian, a well-established wrestler, former world champion. This is definitely going to cement Damien Sandow as being a future contender for whatever the WWE may put him in front of. He definitely got a good win, I think. It wasn't like he was taking on a Santino Marella or somebody like that. So it was great to see Damien Sandow pick up the win. Plus, they're continuing the Funkasaurus and Damien Sandow feud. So the Brodus Clay, I should say, and Damien Sandow feud. Damien Sandow did defeat Christian, but he got a little distraction from Brodus Clay. Brodus Clay, of course, has been getting his ass whipped by Damien Sandow for the last couple of weeks on Raw, and his distraction didn't help. Damien Sandow still won the match, and like I said, I think this is a great win for Damien Sandow. So now we get to the ending of Raw, which was spectacular. You had Triple H all night saying that he was going to be late, that he might not be able to make it. So you had the contract signing between Brock Lesnar and Triple H, but there was no Triple H. So Brock Lesnar comes out, HBK comes out, and before HBK could talk, Triple H music hits, and he finally makes his way to the arena. He comes down, they sign the contract, and everything looked like it was going to be A-OK. The segment was over. You see everybody in the back talking. Triple H and HBK are talking about what just happened. And then you cut to a commercial, you come back, and you see that HBK is trying to leave the arena, but Paul Heyman has him blocked with his car. HBK is hanging out the window yelling at Paul Heyman, and out from nowhere, Brock Lesnar grabs HBK. They bump the camera goes black, you hear a scuffle, that's all you can hear is noise. The camera comes back on, and you see that the windshield is smashed, the hood of HBK's car smashed in, and you don't know where Shawn Michaels is. Everyone's out there looking. Triple H is out there. He's worried. Where's Shawn? Where's Shawn? And finally, you see Brock Lesnar taking Shawn Michaels out to the ring, and he gives Shawn Michaels the F5 and then puts him in the Kimura lock, and he possibly breaks his arm. The website, WWE.com, is saying that it's a possibility, that it isn't certain. Of course, we all know his arm really isn't broke or hurt, but still, it was a great segment. Triple H, of course, he tried to come out and save HBK, but Paul Heyman told him that if he took one more step towards the ring, that Brock would indeed break his arm. And of course, well, he did exactly what he did to Triple H a couple months back. He just retched on that arm and took it out of socket, I guess you could say. But that was it. That's how Raw ended. HBK is in pain, laying in the middle of the ring, and I'm really wanting to see Triple H and Brock Lesnar. Wow, this could very well be a really great match. And like I said before, I hope this is just a knockdown, drag-out fight like John Cena and Brock Lesnar was at Extreme Rules. Of course, I hope it's more of a back-and-forth affair, unlike that match. But, man, Raw was good. I liked it. I thought it was really good. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. This is goldizzy. Peace out, everybody.